Hello parents, welcome to this week's Panther Pause video. Here you see Lucy showing her new skill, crossing arms while jumping rope. And of course, the students got to have fun playing soccer outside several days this week. The teachers got to participate in a catechist instruction or catechism certificate session. This is a program through the Franciscan University of Steubenville. And we got to learn more about what the mission of Catholic schools are. For example, here in this beautiful quote by Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI, where in his address to Catholic educators he wrote, "First and foremost, every Catholic educational institution is a place to encounter the living God, who in Jesus Christ reveals his transforming love and truth." We certainly believe that here at Holy Rosary, and we're carrying that out more and more. One of the ways by which we're doing that is through the Stations of the Cross. This is a traditional prayer of the Church prayed anytime throughout the year, but most commonly during Fridays in Lent. The history goes all the way back to St. Francis of Assisi, maybe before that, where the Franciscans, they placed these stations, here's an example of one of them, around the church to help pilgrims and to help parishioners, to help Christians to pray the various stages of Jesus' walk towards his crucifixion for the salvation of the world. So on Fridays during Lent, we'll be doing that, and Father Flores led us this week, and there's beautiful participation by all of the students. And here you see some of the second graders who got to host the prayer activity and pray as well. The virtue of the week this week was industriousness, which of course is a daughter of fortitude. And the virtue of next week will be magnanimity, maybe one of my favorite virtues, if nothing else because it's a really fun word to say, another daughter of fortitude. So please be sure to go over those paragraphs with your children at home. And here's Father Flores' talk on industriousness. Thank you, and God bless.
Good morning, everyone. Father Flores, very good. Remember, so every time anybody says good morning, you say good morning back. Right? That's part of being courteous. If somebody says thank you to you, what's the response? You're welcome. Right? Or if somebody does something for you, what do you say? Thank you. Yeah, I think we're a little shy on that department, and so let's work on that because we want to be virtuous. You know, I want one day for people to send kids to our school because this is where they become virtuous, where they learn virtue. There's lots of great reasons to go to a Catholic school, and sometimes we'll hear small classrooms, friendly atmosphere, nice. But really we're about virtue, learning virtue, because when we're virtuous, we're like Jesus. And so Gus, you identified correctly during Mass that we're doing the mother virtue of fortitude. Fortitude is strength, right? Raise your hand if you want to be strong. Raise your hand, very good. Raise your hand if you want to be wimpy. Well, there's a couple, but most of us want to be strong. Because when you're strong, you can do things. When you're strong, you can play better. You can play longer. You can be good at what you do when you're strong. So we want that virtue of fortitude. And so under that mother virtue of fortitude, one of the virtues is what we're talking about today, industriousness. Raise your hand if you've ever seen a beaver dam. Anybody ever seen a beaver dam? They're fascinating, aren't they? So here you think, if you haven't seen one or you don't know about them, there's an animal about that big. Well, they can get kind of big too, about that big. And usually it's a pair or two or three of them together. And they work day and night. They work and work and work and work to put together this den inside of this dam, usually going across a stream, forming a little pond. And so beavers are known for being industrious because they work and work and work. And they don't stop until they're done. So there's a little clue to being industrious. We work until we get the job done. Raise your hand if you've ever seen a beehive. Oh, well, I think most everybody has. Same thing, right? Those little bees take a little bit of mud or wood pulp, whatever they use, and imagine just one little mouthful at a time, they build their beehive. And they don't stop until they're done. Do you think those bees get tired? I bet they kind of do. They must get tired. And speaking of bees, raise your hand if you ever had honey. Have you ever anybody had honey? So think about honey. So those little bees, they go and they take a little scoopful of nectar from the plants millions of times, literally millions, or sometimes I exaggerate, say millions. Oh, I have millions of things to do today. That's what I always say, right? But millions, literally millions of things to do a little bottle of honey. So those animals give us an example of being industrious. Now, you and I are not animals in that sense, we're human beings. And we want to be strong because when we're strong, we're like Christ, because fortitude is a virtue, right? And, and another dream of mine is one day for somebody to look at you when you're maybe in middle school or high school or college and say, there's something different about that person, about that young man, about that young lady. And then they find out, that young man or that young lady went to Holy Rosary Catholic School. No wonder they're different. And by different, I don't mean better grades and all that, although hopefully you get that too. But by better, they have virtue. They have fortitude. They have industriousness. So today we see a little bit about what industriousness is by the example of these animals, right? Of the beavers and the bees who build their hive and then who produce honey. And so the virtue of industriousness is diligence. Keep your mind on that word diligence, because we don't all know what that means. Especially in the work that leads to natural and supernatural maturity. So there's a goal. We're working because there is a goal. And a goal is to become mature, which means that you become the man or the woman that God has created you to be. That's the goal. And so how do you get that? You get that by being strong in the virtue of fortitude and by being industriousness. So raise your hand if you know. Now, no guessing here, no guessing. Sometimes you just guess and think, hopefully I'll guess and Father Flores will give me the prize. Remember, I have a big prize somewhere back there. I don't know where it is or what it is, but there's a big prize. What does the word diligent mean? Or diligence? What does that mean? Diligence. Yes. Go ahead. What was that, Michael? I think you said somebody's cranky. But that's probably not what you said. I can't hear what you said. Okay, yes. Talia. No, not Talia. Yes. Oh, you gotta talk louder, sorry. Oh, that's a very holy answer. It means that somebody's virtuous, but no, diligence means something specific. Jose, what do you think diligence means? Okay, all right. Ellie, what do you think diligence is? Strength, okay, so it's under the virtue of fortitude, so it has something to do with strength. So diligence means that you work, and you work energetically. And you work with excitement until you get it done, until you get the job done. Doesn't that sound exciting? To have something that you're so excited about, that you love so much, that you work excitedly and steadily until you get it done. Right, that's diligent. So for example, let's say, anybody like to fish? Anybody a fisher person here? Fisherman? Very good, right? And if you're going to be a good fisherman, a good fisher lady, you have to be diligent, don't you? In how you take care of your tackle, how you tie the hook onto the line, learning to cast, the whole bit. And what do we do when we're excited about something like that, like fishing or whatever it is? We're diligent because we like it and we want to be good at it. And we work and work and work until we get it done, especially if you fly fish. Anybody fly fish here? Boy, okay, very good, very good, very good. We'll have to see how good you are one of these days. Very good, fly fishing. I think if you're fly fishing, you get a step closer to heaven. That's just my opinion. So we're industrious, we work hard, diligently excited to mature naturally, which means that we become the young men, the young women that God calls us to be, and supernatural, which means that we also work hard so that we can accept God's invitation to heaven. Very, very close here. I need everybody to pay attention. You don't work hard at whatever you do because that's going to get you to heaven. No, that's not the way it works. We work hard so we can accept God's invitation to heaven. Right? So somehow in work, because Jesus himself worked, somehow in work, the work that we do that helps us, it trains us to recognize the voice of Jesus, the voice of God, so that when he calls us, we can get to heaven. We have to be very careful here. We don't work hard because our work is going to get us to heaven. That's not the way it works. We work hard to learn God's call to get to heaven. In the program, did anybody watch the video on St. John Neumann? Anybody? It's very good, Reichland, very good. So St. John Neumann was a diligent person. That's why he was the example saint for industriousness. He came all the way from Europe, from Bohemia, a country no longer exists, known as the Czech Republic, and he learned he came already knowing 6 languages. And he learned 2 more just so that he could serve the people that he was called to serve. He wasn't very popular. People didn't like him too much. They thought he was a little strange, and they didn't like him. But what did he do? He worked and he worked and he worked. And for us, he's very important because he is the first bishop in our country. He was the bishop of Philadelphia in Pennsylvania. He's the first bishop to establish a Catholic school system. Isn't that something? So something that he started in his diocese is something that we follow all the way out here in Idaho. So many years later, he was there in the 1800s. And so he worked and worked and worked because he loved Jesus. Again, sometimes because he worked so hard, he annoyed people. I guess that's why he annoyed them. But he didn't let that stop them. He worked because of his love for Jesus.